Okay. So with 14, this is just like what we looked at yesterday. This is directly off of 1.10 geometric meanies, and you might want to go back and watch the video associated with that and details of that matter, because, and this actually goes for everyone, the means understanding check we had, a lot of us struggled with. So there's actually a couple on this understanding check to, just in case you do better, I'll let that replace your old understanding check grade, but so I pay attention to this as we go over it. So when I look at number 14, there's a few different ways we could approach this problem. You could guess and check, right? It tells you that these problems are what kind at the top of the directions for these. What are the directions?
Geometric means.
They're geometric means, right? So if it's geometric, it has what type of rate of change?
Constant.
It is constant. But what type of constant? Multiplicative. We need to recognize that if it's geometric, it's multiplicative. If it was arithmetic, it'd be additive. Those are things to pay attention to here. Another thing to notice about a geometric, so first off, if you know it's multiplicative, you could guess and check until you get the right answer. That can be really hard sometimes, but as long as you know it's geometric, then you know it's got to be multiplied by something all the way through, right? The other way that we talked about yesterday is, what is the multiplicative rate of change called for a geometric sequence? Common what? Ratio. If you have a geometric sequence, the multiplicative rate of change is called a common ratio. And how do we calculate a common ratio? There we go. That's something you have to know. And if you don't know this, instead of just looking at it as I'm writing on the board, how about you take some notes to reference later? That would make sense, guys. When I go over something that you're like, man, I didn't know that, you should write that down. I'm not saying this for my own health. And I'll get you a copy of this in a second. But we need to know these details, right? The common ratio is the current to the previous. And so the little bit weird thing here is that we don't know what any sequential terms are, but we do know that one value is 0.625. What is the only number we have previous to that?
10.
10. And so the common ratio to some degree is equal to this 0.0625. I just divided by 10. However, what we want to recognize is, how many times did I apply my common ratio to get to that 0.625?
4 times.
Okay, so once, twice, thrice, whatever that would be, 4 times.
Thrice.
Never heard of thrice?
Nope.
3 times? Just like twice is 2 times? Or once is 1 time?
What is 4? Quadrice?
I don't know.
Thrice.
That's I don't know 4. But notice I had to repeatedly multiply 4 times, which would mean I have an exponent of 4. What would be the inverse of a 4th degree? What root? A 4th root.
Oh, we're getting fancy.
Right? So that requires some understanding of, hey, I repeatedly multiply by the common ratio 4 times, and the inverse of a 4th power is a 4th root. But at that point, I would need a calculator. What's the 4th root of 0.0625? Gotcha. Somebody with a calculator. It's also a time where most of us should probably have a calculator. Huh?
I gotta get it.
Why?
I didn't do that.
Just hit this. There you go.
It's gotta be 10.
No. The 4th root of 0.0625 is not 10.
I tried. What?
That's 4 times the square root.
How do I do
So, where's your square root? Right there. You see right there where it has a root and it has a little block in the thing? So that's what you want. So you'll hit shift, that, and then notice you can put a fourth root in there. And then notice it needs to be 0.0625.
Wait, how do I do I thought.
Hold on. Which button? That's squaring it. But you see right there where it has the blue and it has this root in there? So square root, notice it allows you to change, there you go, fourth root. Does anybody else need me to show them how to do a fourth root on their calculator? Yes, sir. How about this? Instead of using your personal calculator, grab one of those and I'll show you how to do it on there. So what is the fourth root of 0.0625?
1/2.
1/2. And my multiplicative rate of change was 1/2. What?
Wait, mine didn't
Ooh,
say
that
that.
just released pressure.
Mine said 0.8.
I'm about to grab. Okay.
You put 0.625 instead of 0.625. Be careful.
Okay, I got it wrong.
Sorry, I'm really not doing good. I'm being honest.
How do we do it?
Purple one.
Oh, it's the purple one.
Yeah.
Whose is in the 10?
Just throw it away.
It's getting spicy.
You got it? Okay, hold on one second. I'll come and show you.
It wasn't my fault.
Linnea, I think your phone was the one going off. I don't know if you need to check on it or something. You were confident it was the purple one now?
Yeah, I've seen it
It is the
light
purple.
up.
Okay. Okay, but here's what I will say. You good?
Whoa.
So, here's what I will say. This is something I need you to pay attention to. For me, this is more memorizing than understanding. And if you just try to memorize things, it will come back to bite you because you'll forget things at times. An easier way to approach this is, if I were writing an equation or writing a function, what number am I starting at with my output?
10.
I'm starting with 10, aren't I? And then I've solved it now, but if I hadn't solved it, I am multiplying because it's geometric, and did you know what you were multiplying by originally? So we're multiplying by something that we don't know. So we use a variable, and I'm going to use an R for a common ratio. How many times did I multiply by that common ratio?
4.
And after I multiply by R 4 times, what do I get to?
1/2.
No.
Where would you get
10 R with the 4 thingies.
I started at 10, multiplied by my common ratio 4 times, and I ended up at,
0.625.
My bad.
You're so
is that an equation that we can now solve?
Yes.
What would be the first thing I would do to solve this equation?
So why'd you add back to 0?
Well, what would be the first thing I would do to solve this equation?
Divide by 10.
Divide by 10. Notice how that is 0.625 divided by 10. That also explains where that extra 0 came from. Right? If you divide those, R to the 4th is equal to 0.0625. And then this also shows why I was taking a 4th root. Notice if you just do it this way, you're memorizing. If you set up this equation though, you're giving yourself something to base every step on. What would I now do to get just to that 4, to undo the 4th power?
Please send me home,
You got a
please.
phone call.
Acquire
Please.
attention or something like that.
Oh my God. Oh.
Hello?
Caroline.
Why did they need to call it?
Oh my God. I'm not the girl.
Donovan?
No, Caroline.
She has to poop.
Me too.
No, I do not. I need to
Gotta
go.
lay a law.
Stop. That's
Okay.
disgusting, actually. So shut up.
I got you.
Said I can't use my underwear.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Gavin, shut up.
Okay. So notice we have a 4th power, so we take a 4th root.
Yep.
And that explains, again, why the common ratio is 1/2. This idea shows up on the understanding check that y'all have today. What other questions do we have off of this homework? Did you forget that we had an understanding check today?
The GZ.
How long
thing.
is it? How many questions is it?
My stomach actually hurts.
I didn't ask y'all to do that last night.
How many questions is the,
We'll find out.
is it hard?
need
I didn't think so.
medicine.
Well, we can share mine if you know.
Sure.
I think so too.
But
Show us questions.
China, what I would remind you of here is when you look at that GZ one, isn't it the same idea that's geometric? So you're starting at some number, you're repeatedly multiplying by your common ratio, and then you're getting to something at the end. You can solve it the same way. Okay. Any more questions off this homework before we move on?
I need
I think
medicine.
it is cheap.
We got that test today?
An understanding check, yes ma'am.
I need medicine.
And again, for those of y'all who have been gone, don't let the understanding check that we're about to have stress you out. If you don't know how to do it, that's okay. But we need to see where your understanding is. I will give you feedback so you can improve. So show me what you can do. Show me what you do know. And I will also remind you, if you are gone from this class, I regularly record the classes so you can go online and get those resources. You can go onto Schoology, you can go onto YouTube. So if you're ever gone, don't just ignore class, because it will come back and bite you in the butt if you have to miss 2 whole weeks and do nothing that entire time. So, make sure you're taking advantage of doing the best learning that you can even while you're gone. Stay in contact, ask questions if you need to. Yes, sir?
Do you have any hot glue?
No. I mean, I guess I do actually have a hot glue gun back there, but we're not hot gluing our masks together. Do you need to go, actually,
Wait, I might have an extra.
Tape
okay,
or
You got any
tape.
you can tape it, but if he has an extra mask, let's go with that.
I can poke a hole through this and tie it.
Okay, look.
No.
Poke a hole through it.
Okay. And tying it off, that worked. Okay, so we're going to do our understanding check with any time that we have left over. We're going to continue working on 2.3, linear, exponential, neither. Okay. Let me find the understanding check.
I thought we were doing, yeah. I see it now.
Okay. No more than 30 minutes on this understanding check. It should not take us that long, but I will remind you, this is the rubric that I use to grade. So the grading is all about your, yes, you may go. What is the grading all about?
Effort.
No, not your effort. What?
Justification.
Your justification. So you need to do your best to explain these things as well as possible. Make sure you clear your desk except for a calculator and a pencil.
I can't do this.
You can. You've been here this whole time, Caroline. You should be able to
That
do this.
don't mean jack squat.
Well, then make sure you're doing your homework and practicing the things that we learned in class.
I have been doing my homework.
But not learning the class.
My stomach, oh my god.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but I need you working, guys. You got 30 minutes and that's it. We really should be done before that.
Can like one of us wait 30 minutes so we don't even do anything? Oh my god.
other thing I gotta print out for you.